Get ready to start.
Welcome to the Hopkins Center. Take a moment to silence your cell phone. Also, please locate the nearest fire exit. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. As the Dean of the Medical School, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you and to serve as your moderator today for the 2017 Geisel School of Medicine Commencement and Class Day. Please be seated. In particular, I would like to offer some welcomes at the beginning. First of all, welcome to our graduates. We're so proud of you. Welcome to all the families and friends and the guests that were able to come here to share this day with our graduates. And also welcome to the Geisel and the Dartmouth College faculty and alumni that are here with us today. I have a few special introductions to do at the beginning of the ceremony. First, I'd like to thank our Class Day speaker, Dr. Donald Berwick, for being here today, President Emeritus and Senior Fellow at the Institute for Healthcare Improvement. Also on the stage behind me, the senior academic leadership for the school. They're here today on the stage and will be participating in different aspects of today's exercises. So I would ask each to stand as I read their name, and if there's applause, please hold that to the end. First, Dr. Greg Ogrens, the Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education, Associate Professor of Medicine and of the Dartmouth Institute, and Associate Chief of Staff for Education at the White River Junction Veteran Affairs. Dr. Jim Weinstein, Chief Executive Officer and President of Dartmouth Hitchcock Health, and the Peggy Thompson Professor in Evaluative Clinical Sciences. Dr. Leslie Henderson, Dean of Faculty Affairs, Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion, and Professor of Physiology and Neurobiology. Dr. Richard Rothstein, Senior Associate Dean of Clinical Affairs, Dartmouth Hitchcock Chief Academic Officer, Chair of the Department of Medicine, and the Joseph M. Huber Professor of Medicine. Dr. Carolyn Dever, Provost, Dartmouth College, and Sherry Oberg, Trustee of Dartmouth College. So I would like to thank these senior leaders who are with us today to participate in our ceremony. Next, I'd like to thank our bagpipers. Dr. James Feeney, class of 2000, and his daughter, Emily Feeney, and Dr. Kate McInnes, class of 2011. They always provide a special environment for our ceremony each year. I'd also like to extend my respect and thanks to members of the faculty and staff who are retiring this year. We've provided a list of those individuals in your program, at the back of your program. Their retirements mark an important transition for us and our relationship with them. Many of the names for the students, many of the names you will recognize as faculty. I truly am appreciative of all of the service that they've provided to the school over the past many, many years. So it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Donald Berwick. Dr. Berwick is President Emeritus and Senior Fellow at the Institute of Healthcare Improvement and former administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. A pediatrician by background, Dr. Berwick has served on the faculty of the Harvard Medical School and Harvard School of Public Health, and on the staffs of Boston's Children's Hospital, Massachusetts General Hospital, and the Brigham and Women's Hospital. He's also served as Vice Chair of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force and Chair of the National Advisory Council of the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. Recognized as a leading authority on healthcare quality and improvement, Dr. Berwick has received numerous awards for his contributions. One in particular, in 2005, he was appointed Honorary Knight Commander of the British Empire. That was bestowed on him by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Dr. Berwick is an elected member of the National Academy of Medicine and currently serves as lecturer in the Department of Healthcare Policy at Harvard Medical School. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Berwick to Dartmouth.
Thank you so much, Dean Compton, Dr. Weinstein, Provost Dever, Trustee Osberg, honored graduates, friends, family, all. Congratulations first to you. You've earned a day of celebration, even why you'll now face your next mountains to climb. I want to say first how delighted I am to be with you. My debt to Dartmouth and the depth of my connections here are inestimable. This has been a center for some of the most pathfinding and courageous research on health systems of my lifetime. The legacy here and the example is here of Jack Wenberg and Elliot Fisher and Mike Zubkoff, Steve Plume, Jim Weinstein, Al Mully, just to name a few of my close and longstanding colleagues. Jack Wenberg especially, whom I hope you've had a chance to meet in your time here. Imagine what life was like for him 40 years ago, as Jack, very unwelcome, began to unravel the threads of variation in practice in healthcare. I think probably the most polite reception he got from his mainstream clinical colleagues was something like buzz off. Jack, as you know, he showed rates of variation in tonsillectomy, hysterectomy, prostatectomy, and many more things that were 300 or 400 or 500% from community to community. He discovered nonsense, pure nonsense, in an enterprise that sanctimoniously had laid claim to science as its foundation. And in some very deep sense, Jack began here the modern quality movement in which I have spent my entire career. I have no closer a soulmate or personal hero than Elliot Fisher, who carries on that tradition here of strong system science linked to moral clarity. And that's my theme this morning, moral clarity. A bit high-minded, but excuse me, I'm a graduation speaker. I want to say first, I don't have any illusions at all that you're going to remember what I say. I don't even remember who my graduation speaker was from medical school, and I have no idea what he or she, in my time it would have been he, actually, said. But these are not usual times, and maybe, just maybe, you are worried enough to be looking for some advice right now. I sure am. On January 27th, 1838, Abraham Lincoln was 28 years old, and he gave one of his first major speeches. He spoke at the Young Man's Lyceum in Springfield, Illinois. That was in the wake of episodes of mob violence, including the death by burning of a black man in St. Louis, which activated Lincoln's remarks. In part, here is what he said. Lincoln said, "Shall we expect some transatlantic military giant to step the ocean and kill us at one blow? Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined," he said, "could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a track on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. At what point then," he asked, "is approach of danger to be expected? If it ever reach us," he said, "it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men," Lincoln said, "we must live through all time or die by suicide." I am worried today about death by suicide for so much of what we hold dear, what we must hold dear. And this is a day of celebration. Be happy, but I'm also moved to call to your attention a dark cloud and to your duty as citizens and as professionals to take a stand. In my opinion, I'm not sure of this, but I think that you will be the generation of healthcare professionals who are the most challenged by ethical choices in perhaps a century. You didn't ask for that burden, I know it, but it is yours. History has made it yours. And I'm going to explore those choices that face you in three levels: personal choices, organizational choices, and societal choices, and you are going to face choices in each of those levels. In thinking about this talk and that framework, I recalled an old poem by Carl Sandburg that I think I read in high school. You probably did too. The poem is called Fog. It's short. Sandburg wrote, "The fog comes in on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. The fog comes in on little cat feet," he wrote. You may think that ethical choices, the moral choices I'm talking about, come with a brass band, Darcy declaring loyalty at the guillotine, or Joan of Arc at the stake, or Martin Luther King or John Lewis on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That moments of fame and drama frame all this. Here I am. Ethics, forget that. For you and for me, for most people, the choices that matter, they come in unannounced, on little cat's feet. They are silent on arrival, and they're gone almost before you notice. I'll tell you one for me. I am not proud of this story, but it's a good case, and I've never told it before. This was 45 years ago. I was about to graduate from medical school. I was in your seat, and I was interviewing for the match, the residency match. I wanted to stay in Boston. My first choices were the Brigham Hospital and Mass General in medicine. This was the night before my Brigham Hospital interview. I was on duty overnight as a pre-intern at Mass General at that time, and I was scared out of my mind about the interview the next day at the place I wanted to be. And I said to my supervising junior resident, I'm really scared. I have my Brigham interview tomorrow, and I'm nervous. He said, you should be, he said quite helpfully. He said, they are brutal. He said, I still remember the question they opened with. He said, it was impossible. I said, tell me more. He said, well, he said, they told me a story from the very first days of hemodialysis, which the Brigham Hospital had pioneered. And they said that a patient on dialysis, one of the first, had become confused and then delirious. And so they called the medical resident to come and see him. And the resident showed up, he examined the guy, and he noticed, among other things, nystagmus, eye movements. And then they said the resident immediately made the correct diagnosis, began the correct treatment, and arguably he saved the man's life. And the question was, what was the diagnosis? I said, I have no idea. I was even more scared, thanks to my helpful resident. And the resident said, I didn't have any idea either. He said, later on, weeks later, someone told me the answer. The man had Wernicke's encephalopathy. He was acutely thiamine deficient. Dialysis, which was brand new, was removing water-soluble vitamins from the body, which no one had anticipated at the time. And so no one realized that dialysis could cause acute vitamin deficiency for water-soluble vitamins. The resident figured it out, gave him thiamine, and rescued the patient. I said, oh, shoot. Actually, I didn't say, oh, shoot. You can guess what I said. I said, I'm screwed. So the next day, the Brigham interview came. It was a marathon, I remember. I think there were 7 3-person panels. Each panel peppered the candidate. Some of you are nodding. I guess you're still there. The panel peppered the candidate for 5 or 10 minutes with questions. And I was halfway through the panels, panel number 4 or something, when I walked in the room, and I instantly knew that was the panel. It was the chief of medicine, the head of the residency program, and a world-famous cardiologist. And these guys up on a dais glared down at me, and they paused, I gulped, and then the chief of medicine began. He said, Mr. Berwick, some years ago, during the first days of dialysis here, a patient became disoriented and dizzy. The resident was called, he noticed nystagmus, and he made the correct diagnosis. On little cat's feet. To this day, I remember the feeling, the impulse to burst out laughing, sweat kind of covering my body. I had a choice. It came unbidden, unannounced. This test was not to be of my knowledge or my promise as a doctor. It was to be of my character. And that test I failed. I told you I'm not proud of this story, but I will tell you with cold-blooded precision, I furrowed my brow and I faked it. I pretended that I was reasoning my way to the right answer, even though without any forewarning, I could not possibly have reached that answer on my own any more than I can get a 10 on an Olympic gymnastic floor exercise. But it didn't matter. I could see it in their eyes. They wanted me. The question stopped, and this panel spent the rest of the interview telling me how wonderful the place the Brigham was for training. A day or two later, I couldn't resist telling that story to an adult friend of mine, a mentor. Funny story, I thought, but his reaction woke me up. He didn't laugh. He didn't miss a beat. He said, Don, I'd be less than honest if I didn't tell you that I'm a bit disappointed in you. And I was too, I realized. That evening, I withdrew my application for Brigham residency. But that has never, not even to this day, felt like absolution for me. A choice had come on little cat's feet, and I didn't see it at the time for what it was. You will be there too. I guarantee that with no uncertainty at all. This is ethics at its simplest, its purest, its most elemental form. It is to tell the truth or not, when not is easier, perhaps in your short-term self-interest. I say perhaps because when I think back to that moment of choice, which I have done many times in my life, I can't help wonder what would have been the consequence of honesty. If I said, sirs, I would have said to the panel, this is an incredible coincidence, but last night I asked my resident about his interview here last year, and he told me the same story and the correct answer, and I want to assure you that I would not by any stretch of the imagination have arrived at the correct answer. What would have happened then? I asked myself. I will never know. You're going to have the same choice. I don't know if it'll come tomorrow or next week or next year. I can't say, but it will come, and it won't come once. It will come again and again and again, always on cat's feet. Suddenly, too suddenly for you to wing it, I promise you. And so don't wing it. Get prepared. Decide now. I wish I had. The truth or not. Commit now. The second form of choice at a different level is going to come also it'll come in equal silence, and I want to take a moment to get you ready for that one too. This has to do with your self-image as a doctor. Baldly, you're going to have to choose whether you are a hero or a citizen. Your white coat, your stethoscope, your prescription rights, these are going to tempt you repeatedly into hero mode. You do have the power to look, you have the power to act like you know what to do, even when you do not know what to do. You have the power to assert prerogatives that are denied to others, even to other health professionals. You have the right to say my schedule, my OR time, my air time, my excellence. I talk, you don't. Don't fall for it. It may not sound like an ethics question, but it is an ethics question. And here's the deal. Healthcare is an exercise in interdependency. It is not an exercise in personal heroism. You simply cannot possibly do the right job alone. And that produces a clash. The clash can flash into warfare, and it does. It's warfare between the time-honored romantic image of the great physician as a priest or a field marshal, and the greater need for teamwork and generosity, deference to others. In other words, don't ask what you do. Ask what you are part of. Ask who depends on me, and how am I doing in their eyes? You would incorporate into your daily practice, the following question to be asked of your coworkers and your managers and your patients and your families, of everyone. You ask them, is there anything I could have done differently last week that would have made your work easier? And then you listen to the answer and you change what you do. If this were 1972, 45 years ago, and I were given a graduation talk on ethics, I would stop now, which you probably want me to do. That's what ethics meant in my day, in your seats. Personal ethics for sure, and maybe this idea of teamwork and interdependency as the pinnacle of duty, and those choices about how to act. But times have changed, and I'm not going to stop, because I'll be brief, but I want you to know that I think the stakes are up, and that's what makes you special now. In my day, I held unquestioned that the organizations that I worked in and worked for were at the bottom ethical, that our healthcare institutions usually, if not always, put the interests of those they served ahead of their own. I actually don't know if that was true then. I didn't know how to ask, but it is not now true. At least it cannot be taken for granted. Not when the interests of the people to be served are those of our communities and of society as a whole. It's not a choice I had to face. But the symptoms of organizational gluttony are rampant today, and the damage is severe. The drugs your patients depend on are experiencing price increases that cannot withstand the scrutiny of public interest or moral compass. New biologics of unquestionable value are being priced at levels that are not just like extortion, they are extortion. They're holding the interests of patients and their lives hostage. old, invaluable, simple preparations that I depended on, insulin, epinephrine, 17-hydroxyprogesterone, colchicine, and more, they are being captured or patented under legal loopholes and then priced tenfold or 30-fold or 100-fold over their long prior customary levels. Hospitals playing the games afforded by an opaque and fragmented payment system and by the concentration of market share to monopoly or near monopoly levels, which allow them to escalate prices and costs nearly at will. They are confiscating resources from other very badly needed enterprises, both inside health, especially prevention, and outside, like schools and jobs and housing. And this unfairness, this self-interest, this defense of local stakes at the expense of our fragile communities and disadvantaged populations, it goes way, way beyond healthcare itself. So, I claim, does your ethical duty, I think. Let me give you two examples. You came to your calling as healers, and now as healers, you cannot, in honesty, turn your faces away from what is truly causing suffering. Not if you're to heal. In my view, just editorially, the biggest travesty in current American social policy is not the failure to fund health care properly or the pricing games of healthcare companies. It is our criminal justice system, incarcerating and stealing the spirit and hope of a larger proportion of our population than any other developed nation on earth, except possibly Russia. The harm is inestimable, and if taking the life years and the self-respect of millions and millions of American youth, people of color by a ratio of 8 to 1, leaving them without choice, without freedom, without the hope of growth, is not a health problem, then you tell me in the name of everything that is good, what is a health problem? And the harm done to our planet by inattention to and denial of the facts of science itself, it's grievous harm. If poisoning the air and desiccating the land and drying up the rivers and drowning our cities, our own cities and those of the poorest people on earth, and creating a tsunami of displaced people greater than the world has ever known is not a health problem, then you tell me what is. Tell me that leaving refugees at our gates unwanted, or children unfed, or families unhoused, or basic medical care uncovered, not guaranteed, or relying on conflict rather than compassion, if that is not a health problem, you tell me. War is a health problem. Ignorance is. Hopelessness is. Blaming the blameless is. And what does it have to do with you? Well, that, like honesty, is your choice. I have an opinion, though, and I'm going to have to cloud up your very bright and well-earned day with that opinion. If we be healers, then the time has ended when the tasks that we shoulder stop at the door of an office or the threshold of an operating room or the front gate of a hospital. We must engage in the rescue of a society and of a political context that has forgotten to heal. That has become our job too, your job. Professional silence in the face of social injustice is wrong. And few things chill me more than to see the great institutions of our healthcare enterprise, hospitals, groups, scientific bodies, our guilds, assume that the seat of bystander is available. That seat is gone. To try to avoid the political fray through dignified silence is impossible, because silence is now political. Engage, or you assist the harm, and there is no third choice. This is a time of grave risk. We must either live for all time as a compassionate, honest, equal, just society, a healed society, or die by suicide. and you have no way, I am sorry, to escape your part in that choice. I am so sorry. I wish it were simpler for you. I told you once on a small matter, a personal matter, I chose wrong, to my lifelong regret. I did not hear the choice come in on little cat's feet, the choice. Now, it's your turn. You listen for the cat. It's here. Choose. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that powerful and compelling message. I couldn't imagine something more powerful at this time, I have to say. So thank you for doing that. I would now like to ask Dr. Duncan to come to the podium. He will introduce to you our medical student speaker.
So first of all, I'd just like to thank Dr. Berwick. I could see just watching the students how much that message really resonated with them. And I think that the apology that they can't escape, I think will just go right over the top of their heads, because I think the way that we know these students, there's no desire to try to escape that responsibility. They are students who are incredibly grounded in the concept of community and ethics, very globally informed, good scientists with a lot of passion. And they've chosen their student speaker as their friend and colleague, Liam. And to introduce him, I just want to read very briefly from his own CV, just a very short statement, because I think it captures some of these key principles. Liam says that about me, born in Metro Detroit, raised by a mix of American, Maltese, and Bangladeshi family, Maltese, the puppies. Brought up to work hard, make music, and follow values gleaned from Catholic social teaching like solidarity, human dignity, and service as love. So, Liam.
Well, hey crew, class of 2017, what an exciting and terrifying day. We have challenges before us. I need to take a deep breath and speak slowly. I appreciate the chance to address you all. I have no need to address the politics of health, as that was so brilliantly done by our Dr. Berwick. Thank you very, very much. That was moving. I know we are excited to take up this challenge. Instead, I want to tell you about a tree, a very important tree. At some point in the last 4 years, when I was squirreled away studying, reading the important medical reference entitled Wikipedia, I decided to procrastinate and read about some medical history. I read about house calls and bloodletting and grave robbing for anatomy specimens. I went way far back. I got really engrossed in the stories of Hippocrates, stories of him teaching his pupils on the island of Kos in Greece under a large plane tree in the central agora of the island. I imagined his students musing to each other about the failures and functions of their human bodies, studying in the dappled light of the Aegean sun, just like me in my hole in the Bakerberry Library. It was really touching. Hippocrates, the father of our so-called scientific medicine, this profession we are all about to join and embark on, he's a giant in medical history, of course. He is credited with the first do no harm axiom. So I wanted to be there. I wanted to sit under that tree. So last week I did. I went to Greece with some friends. It was really fabulous. The plane tree is, like I said, it's in this old center of the square in the old agora of Kos, next to the main port. Next to the trunk right there is a big fountain of marble. On the sides it has engravings, relief sculptures of another tree, a very small tree. It looks precisely like the tree on the Dartmouth flag. I thought, oh, here I am. I've come from Dartmouth to this tree, about to commune with the ancients. I'm going to feel something. I'm going to have a revelation. I have to write the speech to tell my friends and all my colleagues and their families. I have to have something profound. So clearly it seemed I was meant to be there. I was ready. The wisdom was going to flow like the water from that fountain. Insight from Hippocrates, he's the holistic philosophy balancing the physician's role to bring the patient into balance and so that the body can then heal itself. He said, ars longa, vita brevis, art is long, life is short. He said the doctor can confidently take their place, though their own life be brief, take their place among the profession in the work of medicine to heal people. He also taught about the four humors in blood and bile and yellow bile and red bile or black bile and whatever, and he wanted those to be balanced, and we could have dyscrasias of bile. And he also said that white wine was the best remedy for coital discomfort, but we'll ignore some of those things. I wasn't there for the medical parts. I was there for the wisdom. I was there for the insight. I was hoping for revelations. Needless to say, I don't have one of those revelations for you. It was just a tree. I traveled quite a ways. And in the end, it wasn't even the original tree. It's just a descendant of the tree that he was there thousands of years ago under. So, well, that was what it was. It's stilted there. The branches are all sprawling and scraggly, stilted by metal scaffolding and medical myth history. But I do think I have some wisdom to share from the experience. It just comes more from the travel of actually getting there, the international experience that took planes, trains, and automobiles through this magical system of transportation that we live with. Airports themselves are amazing facilities. They're amazing places, great technology. No one really wants to be there. Sometimes the people who work there do, but then even not always. Most folks are just there. They're on their way. They have things to do. It's a bunch of people. They're tired and frustrated. Setbacks, complications are almost guaranteed, no matter how much you plan. Everyone is tired. People are speaking languages you don't understand. They're using phrases that you can't quite make sense of. After you practically disrobe for the TSA, you get a full frontal AP study, X-ray. Sounds a bit like a hospital. And I think there is some crossover that we can think about, some best practices from travel that would bear well if we thought of them while we practiced in the hospital and in the clinic. We have to be patient with one another, patient with your fellow traveler, patient with your patients. I think that's important. We're there to get business done. We're there to get where we're going. People don't want to be there. You can sleep later, get your work done, watch your laptop. It'll get lost if you don't keep your eye on it. And wash your hands. Hospital, airport, always wash your hands. Same principles apply. Without much modification, I think that wisdom crossed over from the travels. I'd end my brief remarks by wishing us fabulous success. But to paraphrase one of my professors from undergrad at Oberlin, the world does not need more successful people. It has enough. It needs, of every kind, healers and restorers and people with the moral courage, the moral clarity to stand up and do what's right. It needs people who have the courage to be humane to one another in the face of a system that puts profit over people. I hope that we can be at peace facing this messed up system with our best and most sincere efforts to heal people, to mend a broken system. I hope that we can recognize with humility our brief moment in this beautiful history, a tapestry of physicians from every corner of the world. In my case, it was from Greece to modern day into the future, which will have potentials we don't even imagine yet. And I hope that we can, like I did at the beginning of this speech, make time for deep breaths. If we do that, as my grandfather reminds me every time I call him, you do all right. So, good luck, docs.
Thank you, Liam, for those inspiring words. Well, we will now move to the part of the ceremony where we confer graduate hoods and degrees onto our MD candidates. Earlier this year, the graduating class selected two very distinguished members of the faculty as recipients of the Basic Science and the Clinical Science Teaching Awards. Those recipients also have the honor of hooding the MD candidates at today's special ceremony. So the hood is an outward signature of the degree that the candidate holds. The green color of the velvet will represent the degree, the MD degree that the candidate holds, and the color of the silver of the satin lining is derived from the school of origin. In this case, it will also be green because it's coming from Dartmouth. The two individuals that will help in hooding the students today are Dr. Hal Manning, Professor of Medicine, of Physiology and Neurobiology, and of Anesthesiology, and Dr. Roshini Pinto-Powell, Associate Professor of Medicine and Associate Dean of Student Affairs. So Dr. Greg Ogrins will read the names of each student to come forward to receive their hood and their diploma. Dr. Ogrins.
As we read the names, the students will start on the right side of the stage, receive their hood, and then as they come across the stage, they'll receive their diploma from Dean Compton on this side of the stage. So I invite the students to stand. Marietta Smith. Christine Brewer Andrews. Eric Holmes Andrews. Wesley Armstrong. Benjamin J. Atkinson. Rachel Brickman Atkinson. Ariel August. Sophia A. Bampo. Catherine Bean. Kimberly Jean Betts. Rachel Rose Blitzer. Lovely Brown. Hoi Wan Chung. James Coleman. Kayla Dare Corbett. Allie Corley. David Crockett. Alicia DeGrossa. Anne-Laure Dacier. Dee Dang. Jennifer Irene Etchison. Catherine E. Ferguson. Adam Gardner. Tyler Andrew Giberson. William Anthony Guerin. Rosa Hernandez. Tiffany Kim Hong. Gwen Hunt. Ada Ip. Tina Jaramillo. Kushbu Jala. Kristen Jogerst. Haley Jones. Samuel James Kesley. Sarah Kleinschmidt. Lawrence Kuklinski. Megan Rose Carr Laporte. Wee Lee. Alexandra Toby Lucas. Chengitai Mohogba. Emi Pilini Manuia. Gregory Tadeusz Mareki. Eleni Lucille McGeehan. Michelle McMahon. Vivian Melgen. Christopher David Minsinger. Chelsea Modlin. Yehiel Moore. Nicole Heather Morocco. Stephanie Morton. Jeffrey Noble. Obina Gerald Ofashe. Jeffrey Allen Pedersen. Asia Peak. Alex Elizabeth Perry. Andrew Marcel Pintia. Jeffrey Reeves. Russell A. Reeves. Natasha Melu Huzandish. Cody Michael Rissman. Jihan Ryu. Dietrich Schluter. Michaela Staley. Michael Sun. Theta. Luca Faustino Valle. April Venn. Sophie Leong Washer. Kendrew Wong. Rafat Zaman. Congratulations, Geisel School of Medicine, class of 2017.
It is now my pleasure to present the William Mellon Chamberlain Memorial Prize and Dean's Medal to the member of the graduating class who, in the opinion of the faculty, has the best overall record of academic achievement at the Geisel School of Medicine. This year there are two recipients, and I'd like to ask both of them to come to the podium and join me at the podium. The first is Rachel Atkinson. The second is Jeff Noble. Doesn't matter. You can stand wherever you like. This medal has earned you the right to stand wherever you like on the... So Rachel and Jeff have been outstanding students in all respects, excelling both in the classroom and in clinical studies. Rachel has been described by faculty as an extraordinarily motivated, self-directed student, conscientious and caring, an effervescent personality that quickly wins over patients and families, and a bright, eager student who shows strong initiative and an appetite for hard work. She was one of two senior students appointed by faculty leadership to serve as voting members on the Committee of Student Performance and Conduct. Additionally, on campus, Rachel was a voting member of the Geisel Admissions Committee, a liaison with the pre-medical students at Dartmouth, a leader of the surgical clerkship reflection rounds, and a tutor in anatomy and physical exam skills. Rachel also worked on several research projects with faculty in the Department of Surgery, resulting in a publication in the Journal of American College of Surgery. To my left, Jeff. Faculty have described Jeff as mature, thoughtful, and incredibly motivated. an effective and respectful communicator, a true joy to work with, and the kind of person that you would want as a colleague, and caring for your loved one. As a student in the MD PhD program, Jeff performed research in the Department of Biochemistry and Cell Biology, which led to several peer-reviewed first author publications and culminated in his thesis entitled The Biochemical and Structural Studies of Prion Protein Misfolding. That PhD degree was conferred to him at the college commencement in June of 2015. He was involved in several extracurricular activities on campus, including the Geisel MD PhD Admissions Committee, the Geisel MD PhD Program Review Task Force, the Student Needs and Assistance Program, the Geisel Medical Education Committee, and the Dartmouth EARS Patient Visiting Program. Because of their academic achievement, leadership potential, citizenship, service, and high level of professionalism, both Rachel and Jeff were elected to Alpha Omega Alpha, the Medical Honor Society. And you can see they're wearing the cords around their neck to signify that. This month, Rachel will begin her residency in general surgery at the Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, and Jeff will begin a neurology residency at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. Please join me in congratulating both Rachel and Jeff. Jeff, this is for you. Congratulations. Here we are. I would now like to ask Dr. Ogrins to present the Good Physician Award.
So I have the distinct honor to present the Good Physician Award. This is an award that was established through the generosity of anonymous faculty members. And this award is selected as a recipient by the class. Members of the graduating class are asked to select the person who best exemplifies the personal and intangible qualities of the good physician. Students are asked to consider these traits emphasizing a combination of scientific and professional knowledge with the qualities of general wisdom, caring, empathy, devotion to the welfare of others, which defines the highest level of the profession of medicine. And I'm pleased to announce that the class of 2017 recipient is Stephanie Morton. Stephanie, if you come up.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Pinto Powell. She will lead us in reciting the Hippocratic Oath.
Congratulations, graduates. In many ways, the most significant and memorable event today for our medical students, now colleagues and graduates, is the recitation of the Hippocratic Oath. In our profession, it is a custom established more than 2,000 years ago that no one may be admitted to its honors who has not first expressly taken upon herself or himself its obligations. Now, on behalf of our elders, I call upon our graduates to take, as we have taken before you, the oath which bears the name of Hippocrates. We can still find no nobler sentiments than the most ancient in which to hand down the traditions of our calling. Today, more than ever in 2017, with the speed at which science and technology is coming at us, I think we all need to remember what we can all do for patients, even in the event there is no cure, and that is to just be with them. We have heard this from Dr. Berwick, called upon us to remember our ethics personally and to our country and our patients. And to Liam, he didn't really need that inspiration under the tree. That's not why he sat there. You all have it inside of you. So today, I invite all the physicians in the audience to stand and to join our newly minted graduates in reciting the oath for the first time. The oath is printed in your program. Let's all stand. I do solemnly swear, by whatever I hold most sacred, that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members, that the regimen I adopt shall be for the benefit of my patients, according to my ability and judgment, and not for their hurt or for any wrong, that I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor, that into whosoever house I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick, to the utmost of my power, holding myself far aloof from wrong, from corruption, from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the care of my patients, and will give no drug and perform no operation for a harmful intent, even if solicited, far less suggested, that whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of my patients, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I do swear, and now, if I will be true to this, may prosperity and good repute be ever mine. The opposite, if I shall prove myself forsworn. Congratulations.
It is now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Johansson to the podium. She's of the class of 1990. She will be here to officially welcome you as a member of the alumni of Geisel School of Medicine.
Graduates, my new fellow alumni, most of the people assembled here today are here to bid you farewell. I have the distinct pleasure as the president of the Geisel Alumni Council on behalf of the Geisel Alumni Body to not only congratulate you on your remarkable achievements, but to say welcome. Welcome no longer as students, joining the ranks of over 5,000 other graduates, fellow alumni, in the fourth oldest medical school working in 40 countries worldwide. As most of you will be leaving the Upper Valley and scattering across the country, our job as alumni leaders is to help you stay connected through the miles and through the years to this amazing community, to your mentors, and especially to the friends sitting with you. As a Dartmouth Medical School class of 89/90, an original splitter, Dartmouth allowed me to balance my educational journey with the birth of 2 of my 3 children during my medical school experience. I'm truly proud of the Geisel experience and appreciate the incredible jewel we have of a community here in this rural Upper Valley. At Geisel, you've experienced a complete medical education. We appreciate medical science and the need for improvement in the delivery of health care, but we also deeply value the power of each individual's story. And this has been an action-packed chapter of yours. I'm so proud of your success. Not of making it to MD, for we knew you could, but rather of how you have preserved, recaptured, or created yourself in the context of becoming a doctor. I've lived this myself and continue to teach and mentor medical students across all 4 years, so although you may have a selective memory, as I do, let me remind you of this chapter. You each came to Dartmouth Medical School as amazing individuals, younger, and less tired, and very competent. Your families have always known that you are amazing and may even think that this doctor thing was just one more accomplishment that they expected you to achieve. But you know how from day one, by no one's insensitivity, but simply by the situation's reality, that you were stripped of the confidence you enjoyed in your pre-medical endeavors, arriving relatively naive to the culture and all that's medicine. How unsure you felt. Maybe, am I smart enough? There's so much to know. Am I quick enough? Do I have the discipline? Am I willing to work as hard as it requires? And do I really want this? Can I hold up to the demands? How can I care the best for the people around me and for this world? And how can I make a difference? I'm too tired to make a difference. And so importantly, where am I in this process? How do I find balance and love the people in my life? What is most important to me? As the first year raced by, you passed your first set of quizzes, you bonded with your on-doctoring small group and attacked with unbridled enthusiasm the gathering of a patient history, motivational interviewing, the physical exam, and while your facilitators believed in your best, held you to the fire to assure that you could communicate everything that you learned. You celebrated the bestowing of the white coat, finding a personal note from an alumnus as you slipped your hand into your pocket. You met your cadaver and preceptor, patient partner, big sibling, and you had your last summer of freedom. As a second-year student, you welcomed your own little sibs, led review groups, skills night, and special interest groups, finding meaning and mentors as you engaged alumni, faculty, and community members in your projects. You hosted social and sporting events and realized how cool medicine is once the first-year scaffolding and the second-year pathophysiology becomes intertwined. You realized how amazing your classmates are and felt grateful to be among them. Step 1 boards lurked in the background. Enough said. As third-year students, you acquired your sea legs, racing up that steep learning curve, loving this, less so that, and building a personal case for your life's specialty choice. This journey was personalized by opportunities to work in cities, in remote settings and varying cultures, such as San Francisco, a Native American reservation, rural Alaska, Maine. The process carried you forward, often with a little help from friends and mentors and family, occasionally alone and lonely. Refreshed when you were able to look up and around and appreciate the beauty of the journey. As a fourth-year student, you embraced sub-internships as a seller and a buyer, and created personal electives and adventures amidst interviewing for residency, many staying with alumni hosts as you explored possible new homes, and finally ranking and matching. And over these 4 to 5 years, you differentiated yourselves with experiences in research and service, such as the rural, urban, global health, and medical education scholars. Rather than complaining about inequities, you educated yourselves and others about human rights and equity, health equity. You worked collaboratively, initiating and supporting important service projects like the Memory Cafe, Restorative Justice, Good Neighbor, Mascoma, Claremont Health Clinics, and on and on and on. And now, here you are. What will your next chapter in your story hold? There's still a lot to learn. And now the equally challenging pursuit will again be how to preserve your humanity when you're tired and a novice again. But you're not a novice, not just an intern. You're not even just a doctor. It's so much more than being a doctor. The ability to heal continues to be who you are and the way you treat people, not in your title. As a physician, you have the opportunity to set the tone and responsibility to be a positive change agent in every situation you're placed. If, as a resident physician, you're faced with something that's unpleasant or obstructive, maybe even unethical, be observant, carefully listening. Look for a way to change the culture by your own behavior. Reframe difficult situations in a positive way to move forward. And remember that each person has struggles about which you have no idea. Always believe in that individual's best, knowing that most people are doing the best they can with what they have. And believe in yourself at those challenging moments. You've acquired the knowledge and experience you need to become an excellent house staff officer and an effective physician. You're becoming not only lifelong learners, but learning that it takes intention and personal choice to have a life in medicine that reflects your own values. If we have served you well here, then in addition for striving for excellence as a physician, you will take time to reflect and be mindful of the need to maintain balance. You will value tremendously the nurturing of your faith, your friends, and your family. And if you do, you'll thrive in your career. Whenever the next challenge comes, which may be in 1 to 2 weeks, take a deep breath, sigh, and do the best that you're able in the circumstance with integrity and kindness. And I have no doubt that you will be the most competent and compassionate caretakers of your patients and your colleagues as you go. Geisel is a special place, and it's hard to explain what you've experienced in these transformative years. It certainly helps that the stage is the beautiful Upper Valley with its mountains and vibrant Connecticut River. Your rich experience here at Geisel didn't just happen. If you had a successful experience in an environment conducive to learning and growing, it was not through happenstance, but through the efforts of a whole community, including employees, faculty, mentors, and alumni who brought you the formal and the hidden curriculum, the focus on communication, the patient's story, the value of service, and of developing personal resilience, in part through mindfulness and honest reflection. It's the incredible devotion and engagement of the basic science, hospital, and community-based faculty that compassionately teach you and build relationships, to invite you into their homes and their lives, and to pour themselves into your journey, providing guidance and constant belief in your best and the expectation that you will affect your world. It's the way you care for each other. Something special happens here. The experience of Geisel is much more than a medical education. Alumni have been quietly supporting this graduating class throughout your medical school journey, from the welcome note in your white coat pocket and sharing of alumni experience at specialty networks, student interest groups, and panels, to hosting students during travel for residency, interviews, and providing financial support to the school and for scholarships. As alumni, we engage because we appreciate this place and the gifts to us. Now your role transitions, but it doesn't end. With gratitude, take this transformative experience we call Geisel with you where you go, and remain connected. The alumni have one more gift for each graduate today, a compilation of essays of wisdom, freshly written by alumni for you, should be picked up at the reception upstairs in Alumni Hall, where your family can meet up with faculty and staff immediately after this ceremony. So don't forget to go up and grab that. Finally, in the fullness of your life, I challenge you to seek out opportunities to build relationship. Because I was a splitter, like many of you, I identify with 2 Geisel reunion classes and therefore get 2 reunions, the class of 89 and 90, and I wouldn't miss either. Be intentional about connecting. Maintain contacts through social media. Reach out to alums in your region. Host an event or a student. Write a white coat ceremony note. Be a class rep or serve on the Alumni Council. Support the institutional mission of Geisel and student scholarship in any way you can. And return to teach at Geisel. We have a very diverse student body. We really desire a diverse faculty. Please come back for a reunion or 2. For now, go and do good work for your residencies. We don't expect to hear much from you in the next few years. Not today or tomorrow, but remember, like medical school, residency is not 3 to 7 years set aside. These are the patterns you establish for life. The challenges and demands which change their form as medical student, resident, and practicing physician, in fact, will escalate in importance and responsibility. Stress is inevitable, and many have struggled for lack of coping skills. Centering is never more important than when a lot is being asked of you, and you must actively seek balance in your life from day one, set your priorities, and preserve your humanity. So stay connected with those you care about the most, come back for your 5th reunion, and call on your friends, both near and far, when you need encouragement, myself included. Your Geisel community is here in the Upper Valley and around the world to support you, and you'll always be part of the Geisel family. Congratulations and welcome.
We're almost done. First, just a point of order. Dr. Johansson mentioned there is a reception upstairs immediately following. So as you exit the auditorium, turn right down the hall, and then there's stairways and an elevator right there for people to go up to the reception. And this room is going to remain open till about 2 o'clock. So if people wish to come back for pictures and things like that, feel free to do so. So Geisel class of 2017, congratulations. I would like to start my remarks by acknowledging and thanking your family and friends, many of whom are here today. Medical school is a very intense experience, and nobody completes it alone and without the support of your family and friends. So for all of their steadfast love and support, I want to thank them, and I think we owe them a salute. So thank you so much, everyone. I would also like to thank Dr. Berwick again for giving such a compelling talk. It's still reverberating in my mind, and I'm going to keep a hold of several of those nuggets that you gave us today. And finally, I want to thank the staff in Student Services and the Office of Medical Education, the Registrar's Office. They do so much great work behind the scenes to support all of you during your years here, and also for today's activities. They really put so much time into the event today. They are scattered around in different places here, but when you run across them, please thank them for all of their work they've done over the years. So, class of 2017, I have the distinct honor to provide your last lecture at Geisel. And attendance for this one is required. So, you started Geisel just 200 weeks ago. As a group, you were selected from thousands of applicants. You came here from states all across the U.S. and from many different countries. And thinking back on that first week of orientation, do you remember the ropes course? Do you remember Mount Musalak? Appreciative inquiry? There are some chuckles going on, and people are remembering it. It seems like yesterday, doesn't it, that all that was going on. And do you remember the first day of orientation when Andy Welch stood up before your class and told you all about the accomplishments of your classmates? All the wondrous things that you had done and experienced and achieved prior to coming to Geisel. And I wonder if at that time there was an inner voice in your mind asking yourselves, how did I make it into this group? Well, you are here now. It is in this moment. I ask you to be mindful of this moment and take a bit to reflect on everything that you've experienced since that first day. You've successfully completed over 6,000 didactic hours in the classroom. And actually, for some of you, it may be more like 5,000 because you were listening to things at 2 times the speed. But in addition to that, you've logged countless hours studying and working with patients and facilitators and in small groups. You've learned the intricacies of human anatomy and the foundations of human physiology and the biochemical basis of tissue homeostasis, all of which come together to support normal development in aging. You've also learned the pathological basis of disease and how to judge the appropriate course of action to ameliorate pain and suffering. And you've learned the art of communication with your patients and how to allay their anxieties and provide consultation in sometimes very difficult and life-altering circumstances. To top it off, you've learned about how to take action to make improvements in systems of care. And that those systems need your actions to improve them as they are bending under the unyielding economic, political, and social weights bearing on them now. But it'd be a slight if I stopped there, and I don't want to stop there. You have donated of yourselves through volunteer activities locally in countries across the globe. You've provided community service in the Good Neighbor Clinic, Mascoma Clinic, WISE Patient Partnership, Migrant Health, Claremont Soup Kitchen, Haven Homeless Shelter, the Memory Cafe, dozens of others. You were Albert Schweitzer Fellows who developed unique community outreach projects. You were involved in rural health and in urban health. You participated in research projects, and many of you are completing dual degrees. Our admissions committee didn't make any mistakes. I knew that then, and I know it now. It is self-evident by what you've done and what you've accomplished. It's incredible to me what you've done and how fast you've done it. And it's no surprise, I think, that a faculty member described your class as catching lightning in a bottle. So that I know, I speak on behalf of all the faculty and staff of Geisel when I say that we are incredibly proud for what you've done, what you've accomplished, and being such a rich part of our community. For as much as we've affected your lives by pushing you to learn every facet of the art and science of medicine, you have reciprocated and you have impacted on our lives and the lives of the people throughout this community and in other communities across the country and the globe. That strength of community was never stronger and never shined brighter than when you collectively supported each other following the tragic loss of one of your classmates. Now, I'd like to make a confession. Don't worry, it's nothing salacious, no tabloids, anything like that. It's a simple confession, and that's when I was a kid, I wanted to have superpowers. We all did, right? I mean, we all had this. So after various episodes of trial and error that included, jumping off of roofs and falling out of trees and running through traffic, those sorts of things, I realized I don't have any powers remotely resembling something that an ordinary person would call super. But undaunted by the countless outcomes of those trial and error experiments, I have over time learned that I do possess one superpower. And that superpower is really simple, and that is that I can see the future. And I look at you and I see the future, and you instill in me the utmost confidence that the future of the healthcare system is in expert hands. Even the challenges that Dr. Berwick put in front of you, I feel are in your capable hands. Let me read a quote from an astronomer and a physicist named Carl Sagan. Some of you might know his name. And I'm sorry, I'm quoting a science nerd, but I am a science nerd, so we tend to have affinity for each other. He was actually renowned for his ability to take the very hard facts of physics and astronomy and to relate those concepts to human values and the human condition. And at one point, as he reflected on stars and planets, and particularly on the planet Earth, he became acutely aware of our humanity. And he wrote the following as it pertains to us and our planet. And I'll quote, "Earth, that's here, that's home. Everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives here. The aggregate of all our joys and sufferings, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every hopeful child, every mother and father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint, and every sinner in the history of our species lived here." Now, it seems a little obscure to be quoting a physicist at a medical school commencement, but it strikes me as utterly profound in the way that his quote defines us all. No one better than any other. No one better or worse, or more deserving or less deserving. And it underscores that our similarities exceed our differences. And that our future lies in our own hands, and that we must assume responsibility to care for one another. No one is coming from somewhere else to help us. What more powerful statements could we make in healthcare today, where everybody deserves to be treated with honesty, compassion, and caring, regardless of socioeconomic status, and that we must accept the obligation to build systems that equitably care for one another. No one is coming from somewhere else to help us. Is this not the sentiment that you were striving for in your mission statement, in your class mission statement, when you wrote the following? You wrote, "We bring a mosaic of beliefs, ideals, and identities that we will use to transform the healthcare experience. We promise to learn from and respect the values, experiences, and relationships of each patient." The mosaic you refer to embraces everyone and is not bounded by the cynicism of the day that we are bombarded with, fueled by the political rhetoric of that 24-hour news cycle. That mosaic is basal to our collective humanity, and we can't succumb to pressures that would seek to divide us into groups where, on the one hand, there are groups that have affordable, accessible, and effective care, and on the other hand, we have groups that have expensive, inaccessible, and ineffective care. When I look at you, I see the future. And that future will be built to support optimal health span for everyone. And when the need arises, to provide patients with the most effective and efficient medical care. And to do so without regard to political or social differences. I recently had the pleasure of reading the stories that some of you wrote to provide wisdom to the rising third-year class. And in those stories, I already see how you are affecting the future. You wrote about kindness, you wrote about connecting with your patients, you wrote about learning lessons in human dignity and decency from the patients that you encountered. You wrote about values and the importance of maintaining perspective. And so, for example, I'll give you a few quotes that come from that. One is that nobody becomes a doctor in order to try to score well on evaluations and self-exams. These are just cairns marking the trail up the mountain. To go along with that, one of your colleagues quoted Ferris Bueller, who said, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it." However, above all, the storyline that came through the strongest in all of those wisdom stories was the one about being an active listener. One of you summarized by stating that, quote, "My favorite moments of medical school are when I stopped to enjoy the stories of my patients." So each of you entered Geisel with extraordinary levels of empathy and compassion and a driving desire to help others when they were in need. What we have done is provide you with the agency to act on those core values to improve people's lives through the provisioning of medical care. We've worked hard to provide you with an environment that both pushes you and nurtures you for both your intellectual and your emotional growth. And you are going forward in the world as physicians that we respect. So motivated by your core altruism and armed with the tools that we have taught you, each of you will be part of the broader mosaic that betters the lives of others. I can't imagine a better future to go into than that. To conclude with one other short quote, again from Carl Sagan, he said, "For all our failings, despite our limitations and our fallibilities, we humans are capable of greatness. Now I stand before you and I call on my one and only superpower, and I am gazing on our future. And that future is powerful, that future is compassionate, that future sees no political or societal boundaries, and that future is altruistic and prepared to change people's lives and to do great things. And that future is you. I feel the utmost confidence that the medical care that you will provide and that the systems of care that you will build will go beyond any of our expectations to improve people's lives. So Geisel, class of 2017, I conclude your final lecture at medical school by saying on behalf of all the faculty and staff, it has truly been our distinct pleasure and privilege to work with you and to guide you through your medical education. I offer you my deepest congratulations on your graduation today, and I look forward to being a a small facet of that mosaic of the future that you will be building for all of us. So congratulations to all of you and good luck. Thank you.